going to be flexible on time here and also have a chance for folks to be able to ask questions of the speakers or ask questions of each other. But Nirja has a set of questions for us to help us focus on how to take action and how to be resilient.
So want to thank everybody who was here earlier and setting up the stage for this, for the next part. I want to acknowledge the food systems and the energy system, Sherry. I want to take a little pause before we jump into this section. And I want us to think for a moment, all of us who are on this call, think about how the two things we have been hearing, the food systems and the energy systems, how are they connected? Think about the aisles of foods we saw in Nikki's photograph in the presentation. Then we saw the beautiful garden, the permaculture garden, and we saw the solar panels, and we saw public transport. Think about transport, food systems, and try to see the connections. And while we think about that, let's also think about the other things that we utilize through food systems, not just food as in food to eat, but the clothes we wear, the agricultural system and the energy system, how they interact, and what does it mean for climate change? What does it mean to the life we have and the current crisis, how everything is networked through the chains that we have become dependent on. So to get into the, so I just wanted to set that background before we get into the questions. And the question, the task I am scheduled to do is called, the effort is to have a dialogue with all of you, okay? And one of the things that we have done prior is to use the Talanoa concept to have a dialogue with our community, and we did this with our virtual bridge to the Conference of Parties in December. As many of you will know, Conference of Parties is the United Nations Conference of Parties for Climate Change, and we had hosted a bridge, as in we could talk to the folks in COP in Madrid, and a part of the process was at that time to engage our local participants through the Talanoa Dialogue Initiative. So Talanoa basically means, and it is a Fijian and across the Pacific island countries, the word means inclusive, you create a space for inclusive, receptive space for dialoguing. That's one of the way that the Pacific Islanders resolve differences or hardships, or where they have, when we talk about climate change, we don't all agree on certain things. So the UNFCCC said, let's use the Talanoa as a background to talk. So what we're going to do today is we take 3 questions on sustainability. I'm just using the Talanoa concept for sustainability, and all of us will engage in a conversation. How do we do that? Now, many of us are not sharing, the mics, and I'm not able to see faces. So one of the things, as each of our questions go, what we will do is we write our answers in the chat box. And whoever wants to raise the hand to have a voice, like towards the end of the question, we'll allow 1 or 2 speakers to respond to the answer. But I really encourage all of you to please use your chat box for each of those questions and respond, because what we'll be doing is we'll take your responses and we'll stitch up a document basically and say, this is what our community, our participants want. These are their hopes, these are their fears, these are their ideas for sustainability, and we'll publish it and we'll acknowledge all of you. So please take the time to use your chat box and also to raise your hands. Okay, let's move. Before we get in, I just want to acknowledge what today is. April 17th is also International Peasants Day, recognized by the United Nations. We have had a lot of talk about food. I want us to take a moment to acknowledge the farmers who feed us, and 80% or more than 80% of farmers are small farmers, and that's where we get our food from. It's also the year of plant health. So just launching off, and these are our questions. Are you all ready? So I'm going to time us. We are at 2:16. We had originally scheduled this for 20 minutes. Kim, can you tell me how much time we have?
Well, let's try to do this in, 15 minutes max. If we can, then we'll do our just final closing slides.
Sounds good. All right, so we have 3 questions, and here are the questions. See, one of the questions we ask is, where are we? As in taking stock of the space we are in. Right now, yes, we are in a pandemic situation. We also have a climate change situation. We also have a situation where our planetary boundaries are stretched for multiple reasons. And when we take stock of those things, the next question we ask is, where do you want to go? Like, as in, yes, I want to go out, I want to speak with my friends, hug my friends, and yeah, that's the other thing. But where do we want to go as a community? Where do we want to take ourselves when we talk about sustainability? What's the vision we have, right? The third question is, how do we get there? Yes, it's fantastic to have a vision. It's fantastic to think about the possibilities, but what are the realistic things we need to get done on the ground so we get there? So we'll start now with the first question. And these are, I have just put out some ideas there. When I ask you the first question, where are we? I'm looking at what your thoughts on what do you think are the main challenges for sustainability, and what are, in your opinion, what are the underlying, the causes for challenges? What kind of sustainable action you want through different sectors, different, at a local level, at a national level, at an international level? Do you have any best practice examples at the current state where we are? I mean, one of the things for me, best practice is, I would say the community gardens to me is best practice. Growing a food garden is best practice. Shifting to solar is best practice, right? And anything else that you can think of which works as best practice at this time, best practice, right? And what kind of technologies do we have? So this is our first question, and let's take 3 minutes, and I'm going to watch the chat box to see your responses coming in. Let's go. Think through and share away your answers. Yeah. Where are we now? And let's just get our baseline. Where are we now?
And this is a question for the greater Portland region, but it also can be beyond.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Great. I can see some answers coming in. So just know that when I'm writing up all your, putting together your answers, I'll make sure I acknowledge all of you. So please share your thoughts. It's important that we hear your voice. Yes, I see what you mean, all of you. Thank you for sharing, for those of you who are getting in your messages. So let's move to the second question. And what I'm going to do is, even though I move to the second question, those of you who want to respond to the Q1, just write Q1 against your question, and keep typing away if you want to be still contributing the question 1. Okay. So I just want to say, yeah, I appreciate all of your answers that are coming through. People are talking about the challenges, lack of motivation. We don't have an economic incentive for sustainability. I'm just quickly glancing through some of the feedback. We don't have a tax system, or we do not have a system like a policy system that supports sustainability. There's a lack of best models also, and of course there is the corporate world with infinite profit orientation, lack of endowments, etc. So I will make sure I compile all of your voices, and I want to say thank you for being so generous and sharing this. Let's move to the second question. And the second question is, where do we go from here? Like, where do you envision? It's calling for your vision, like your call of action. What do you want to be? Where do you want to be? Like, think about 2030, think about 2050, okay? What is your short-term and long-term vision? I mean, yes, being placed in pandemic, I can only think of 1 week. Maybe that's fine too. We can only think of 1 month. I mean, right now we are in a very challenging situation. So be generous and to yourself when you're responding to this. You don't have to think very long term, but what is your vision, right, for sustainability? And where do you think we should focus? What kind of sectors? Should it be energy? Do we see the connection between energy? Agriculture is the largest user of energy. So there is a deep systemic connection between the two of them. So what would be the change? What would be the course of change? In which sector do you want to emphasize more? And what, in your opinion, are fundamental barriers? Some of you already mentioned, but if this is another time where you can start talking, right? Yeah, let's go to question 2 and let's see what we get here, okay?
I'm loving seeing all of the great answers in here. Nirja, thank you for asking such good questions. So everybody, if you are not already, if you don't have your chat page open, just go to the bottom of your screen and click on chat, and then you can see what other people are saying and you can type in your answers.
Yeah, thanks, Kim. Yeah, we are getting some really good answers. Yeah, what would be your vision? Where do you want us to be together? Do you see a specific sector that has the largest impact? For example, the consumption system. Think about the consumption system. Yes, we are all consumers. Where do you think we can make the largest impact as consumers? And when we think about consuming, we should also think about equity, equitable consumption. How is it possible? And what are the things we should do to enable that process, right? Yeah,
Somebody asked when it was around the agro-biodiversity question about what about all of the cool companies like Imperfect Fruits and these different ones that are actually bringing products to our homes that are outside the traditional distribution system. I thought that was a really interesting question. So I'm not sure if Nikki would want to respond to that, or Nirja, if you have a thought. Like, how can we connect with the farmers who can go outside the Amazon delivery system?
Right now, as in context of the pandemic, is it, Kim? Are you talking as in current situation?
I was just trying to respond. I was trying to give voice to the person who asked the question earlier around what other models exist that might help us to engage with the economy in alternative ways to support local economies.
Yeah, I think our speakers have actually given us a lot of ideas, starting with even starting a window garden, starting with very basic things, as if, let's say I'm in an apartment, I have one balcony and I can put 3 pots. That's a good start. I am in a balcony, I have enough sunlight. Is it possible for me to get a solar system installed to offset some of my carbon emissions? Maybe. And all the things that Sherry mentioned about thrift store and the other things. Yes, and what Nikki mentioned, can we connect? Which way can we connect to local farmers, local CSAs? Especially here in Portland, we have a rich, diverse CSA network, and I can provide the resources, and I'm sure Nikki has too, how we can engage with community gardens, community markets, farmers markets in context of food. And
Yeah.
as a consumer, yes, where would my footprint be? Yes, I have to think about, before I shop anything on Amazon, I have to think twice. Do I really need to get this on Amazon, or can I support a small business?
Yeah. So we have a couple minutes left. Can we move on to, I'm loving all of this, but let's move on to.
Yeah. I'm going to the next question. And the next question is, how do we get there? Okay. And when we say how do we get there, we have to think, let's reflect about what are the fundamental changes that we need in business as usual. Right now, business as usual is, if we didn't have this COVID-19, and if we weren't all sitting and reflecting back on the unemployment rate, the challenges to food each of us have, and we start reading about the food banks that are stretched to their limits, that they don't have enough food to give away. And we start understanding the complex world we live in, and how intricately we are related to each other, and how one virus can disrupt everything. So knowing that, what do we say, what are the fundamental changes that we need to do to get to the vision we talked about, right? Whether we have COVID, or we have climate change, or we have both. In this case, we have both, and we have much more problems. So, and the planet is asking us to reflect on ourselves. At least that's how I see it. So, legally, what can we do? Are there policies that are fiscal frameworks that we can change? What kind of advancements do we need? Do we need technological advancements, or do we need to go back and look to ancestral deep knowledge and connect with that? Where does the indigenous knowledge take us if we are able to listen to it and to acknowledge it in the first place, right? And what kind of roles do financial sectors have? And what are your expectations from leaders at local level? And what do you see for yourself as a leadership? Within you, what is your call to get there where you want to get there? So we are at 2:31, and let's take 2 minutes, and I'll wait for your answers for how do we get there, and then I'll wrap up my session.
These are such profound conversations. And I know this is just, for everyone listening, this is just the start of a movement, right? Like the GPSEN Sustainability Symposium series, we're going to take pieces of these. We have other incredible speakers who wanted to contribute. We'll do shorter sessions over the next couple of months. We also will be providing resource lists and connections for folks to the speakers. So let's just say this is a flowing energy towards social change.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you for, I can see capitalistic economies and diverging from sustainability. Yes, we are in a golden opportunity. How do we take this opportunity to the next level? How do we use education as a channel to wrap this all up and say, what are the ways that we can educate ourselves? And yeah, when I talk about education, I can connect it to what Rachel is saying. Asking for what we exactly want from people, businesses, and governments, which means, again, businesses, governments, and people have to have the basic education to understand how everything is holistically connected, which I think Serena mentioned right in the start, that there is a lack of holistic connection between the dots, right? And that itself is a fundamental starting point. So in my view, and I believe many of you who are here, um, you know, education is a very fundamental way of connecting, right from when you're born and as you grow upwards to any age. We are constantly educating ourselves, in the sense we are constantly learning. And every one of us, irrespective of what jobs we are or where we are, if we are not cognizant of this really intricate braided, like Kim mentioned, like a braid, we are braided, whether we acknowledge it or not. I think all of us right now, we acknowledge that we are very, very braided. And yeah, I want to yes, there is basic research, best practices, encourage everyone to think about local food. And when we do think about local food, I quickly want us to think about how much we are dependent on outsourced food beyond Oregon or beyond wherever you are participating from, Boston, Massachusetts, wherever you are, right? How much of our food comes from somewhere else? What does it mean to those economies that rely on us as consumers? How can we be better consumers, being cognizant of these connections and the relationships that we all are part of and we contribute to, whether we know it or not? Okay, so with that, I want to you can continue to use the chat box to continue to give your feedback, and please look out for our the blog that's going to come out. The summary, a report will come out of all your feedback. And I want to go to the next space where I know this is the just want to remember this as we take stock of today. Today is the International Peasants Day, and acknowledge all the hands that feed us. And let's not be silent. Let's be active. Let's continue to do what we are called to do at an individual level or at a bigger level than that. With that, I want to close my presentation. And those of you who have the time, you can look up at the United Nations Declaration for the Rights of Peasants, that was in the Book of Illustrations. It's up on the website, and I can send you the source. So thank you all very, very much for participating. This is excellent. And Kim, the floor is yours.
Oh my goodness, Nirja, how inspiring. So many of you. We are going to continue to collect as you guys are sharing your examples. That's a wonderful way to, at least within writing, create a document from our time together. We are going to move through, I have to get my own, I have all of my own chat page open. I keep reading everybody's, it's so good. So we're going to move just to the end. So here's our closing. We want to just connect in and say, what's up? What's next? And so if you've not gone to our GPSEN Regional Hub, that's our GPSEN website, you can share events, job opportunities, grants, resources, curriculum, publications. Be sure to do that. But we wanted to let you know that we have, as I'm doing this, you can still be adding to the chat page. Our session is going to run a little long, but we're going to, when we get through this, we'll be sure to have saved the recording, and then this will still be available for all of the viewers. Okay, so what's up next? Of course, it's Earth Week. Yay! Starting today, we're kicking off Earth Week, and I really want to recognize all of the people around our region, around the world, who are celebrating our 50th birthday. It's happy birthday, Earth Day, April 22nd. So please do know, as we convert to our remote efforts, that all of these things are still happening. So Neeraj, I think that your voice, hopefully you can still speak. You've got a couple other things that you wanted to announce too that are coming up, some events that people can enjoy in the future.
Yeah, so we have a Bridging for Sustainability event. That's our think tanks event, which Kim and Sherry, we used to host at Sherry's office space, and now it's going to be online. And this one, this event is going to be April 30th, and we're going to connect on 2 SDGs, Sustainable Development Goal 14 and 15, which is life on land and life on water. We are going to have Friends of Columbia Gorge with us, Portland Harbor, and also PSU folks joining. So please join us for this talk is going to connect policy, science, and practice. So you're going to get 3 different windows. And again, this is going to be people-led, so you have plenty of opportunities to ask questions and take away a lot of lessons. And Kim, can you go to the next one?
I will. I just wanted to acknowledge how many people are having to convert to online. So thanks for everybody's patience and trying to learn. So yes, next.
Yes, so the next one is, I want to acknowledge Frank and Annette here. You met them at in the beginning video. That is Frank Granshaw, our senior advisor at GPSEN. And Frank and I will be presenting at a Clean Network teleconference. And the Clean Network basically is the climate literacy and energy awareness network. And what we'll be talking about is taking the conference of parties, the virtual bridge for conference of parties. So we are going to talk about broadening the engagement for climate change. All the details will be also on GPSEN calendar. The invitation will be there. So make sure those of you who are interested to understand how we can sit here in our rooms and still contribute to climate change. That's a great way. All of us can do something, and each of our fingerprint is important. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yep. And so next week, just do check out the GPSEN Regional Hub. We do our best and depend upon you to add in events and opportunities for the community. There was a large demand when GPSEN first applied to the UN to become a regional center to have a shared calendar. So this is where it is. And if you want to come through the business lens, the B Lab, B Corps are hosting a lunch about the SDGs and their new SDG Action Manager. This is a tracking tool for businesses to be able to see the differences they're making on a local level. So that's April 23rd. The virtual bridge, Neeraj already mentioned that. We're going to keep you posted. They did have to cancel it, the actual meeting, but we will be offering some kind of a virtual bridge to talk about climate change on a global level. Given everybody here, who I know if some folks are checking out and understanding timelines here, I just wanted you to know that this series of speakers, everybody, we had over 40 people who were going to present during our traditional symposium at PCC Cascade. So we're going to tap into, and they've all expressed interest, can we do something online for all of you? So today we focus on permaculture, energy and social justice, food security. So all of our speakers, thank you for your great work. Coming up, we're going to be inviting folks who are working in the arts world, arts and activism, and a very important area that we need to honor and support. We will be bringing in our business leaders, and Jamie Honning is the board member and head of the Corporate Sustainability Collaborative. So let's talk more about what can happen in the private sector. And since there's been interest and we wanted to dig in more into the questions of climate change and clean energy. So those are also part of our keynote speakers. These are folks that in fact, Sherry was one of our plenary speakers, so I'm so glad she could speak today. So that's what's, keep an eye out for the calendars. If you're not already on GPSEN's listserv, be sure to sign up, go to our website. We want to thank everyone who's helped make our Sustainability Symposium possible. My goodness, we just couldn't do it alone. So understand that the Sustainability Symposium is our annual event. It's the one fundraiser we have each year. This was free. It was free online. If you do feel called, if any of this has inspired you, I do ask, I mean, humbly, I'm a friend raiser, not a fundraiser, but I would like to say, if you feel called to donate to support our programs, please go to gypsum.org, and there's a donate button there. And if you are feeling called to be a leader, our GPSEN board member applications are opening soon. We'd love to have some people across the 4-county region, to all demographic stripes, everyone who would like to contribute and bring your skills to helping advance the Sustainability Education Network. We'd love for you to join us. So we will be sending out that invitation soon. And finally, thank you for joining us. You're here. We love that you're here. We will send out an evaluation form to get your feedback. Your voice matters. And for further questions, if we can, we will invite you to go to our website. We do have different contact links there and more details that are, of course, are shared. Remember, we're all in this together. This logo, this slogan, PCC has been using that for years, and now we hear it everywhere. Here we are, we exist together. Blessings to all of you. I hope that you're well, and that this was a meaningful time for you to be a part of this whole event. So this is the end. I'm just trying to send you to a few other places where you can get involved. I know there are lots of chats. We will be collecting your ideas, recording them, and sharing them after the session, okay? Bye. Thanks for those who are waving. I really am grateful for all your work. Shaka, full on Hawaii shakas. We're gonna be okay. Mwah, mwah, mwah. All right, I'm gonna end the session. Love you.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye now.
Bye.